But yeah, I was talking about self-discipline and stuff like that. That's like a huge thing. I was talking about how that's a huge thing in witchcraft, and that's you gotta be disciplined to be able to perform magic, and that's just a huge thing. If y'all want to hear more about magic, I will gladly hold a live stream talking about that. Um, but I'm not gonna get into that too much while I'm playing video games, probably. um, I'm kind of different. It's one of those things where my practice is very unique to me. So here's what I can tell you guys, like, very quickly, is my practice is extremely unique to me. I research so many different things, like to the point where I have well over 11 gigs of just books saved on my iPad. And I have access to about 50 more gigs of books. See, that's where I normally come in. And then about, and then I have access to an entire Discord library, which I plan to utilize. Did I get it? No, of course I didn't. Um, but I've been trying to organize so I don't double download things. And then I also have probably about 20 to 20 or more actual like books. Like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them sitting here next to my bed. Like, here's one of them, my book on the clip off, which I've been reading. Um, and actually, the ones that are sitting here next to the bed are ones that I read. And the reason why they're sitting there is because I'll read a little bit and then I'll move to a different book. It depends on the day, on what I read. And that is what has gotten me in trouble with this because I literally just talk. I, well, no, I just research literally just about everything. And it's it's crazy because I identify as one thing. I am another thing, but I practice just about everything. I mean, obviously, there's closed practices, and I don't do that. I'm not into cultural appropriation, but I like to learn, and then my culture itself is different than what I practice, so I've been learning about my culture too. So I'm I identify as a theistic Satanist. I align with the tenets of the Satanic Church and the um Satanic Temple, and I'm a member of the Satanic Temple, but I do not practice the Satanism that is practiced in the Satanic Church or in the Satanic Temple, because that's atheistic Satanism, and the difference is theistic Satanists um worship deities, and I worship and work with different deities myself. Um, as far as my culture goes, I'm a fucking mutt in a lot of senses, and I don't mean that in any sort of weird way. Like my father was mostly European. He was a lot of his ancestry goes back to France, and on his side I've traced back to being related to King Henry VIII and the Plantagenet line out of England, and like even King James. So my ancestry really kind of goes back as far as that goes. And then my mother, her father's side, her mother's side is a little bit harder to track, but her father's side came straight from Puerto Rico. And I've tracked them all the way back to the 1500s, 1400s, 1500s, and it's just Puerto Rico straight into Spain. Um, it's so that's my mother's heritage. My aunt on my mother's side practices voodoo and hoodoo, and most native Puerto Ricans practice brujeria. I'm totally butchering that a little bit. Or Sansei or Sansei. And I don't practice any of those. I've studied very little about it, but I've also studied ceremonial magic. I've studied demonology. I've studied hermetics. Like I've studied Venetian magic. I've studied let's see, a lot of like Thelma and Aleister Crowley, which Aleister Crowley's a really shit person, but some very interesting things that he's written, and a lot of his stuff is based off of like Egyptian witchcraft, and that's really what attracts me to it. Thelma is very interesting, but he's extremely problematic in so many different ways. But I've also researched Santisma, or no, well, Santisma, but Santeria. See, like, I'm still learning a lot, an absolute lot, but I like researching. I just really like researching. That's just kind of what it breaks down to, because that's kind of how I ended up in the field I'm in right now, because I'm